tutorial for the JITECH Stud Fasteners component. This component facilitates the placement of multiple studs at once. It can be used on multiple members simultaneously as long as they're all the same type and are one of the acceptable types, which include horizontal braces, vertical braces, beams, and columns. To use this component, we go to the Select Component Type window and search for JITECH Stud Fastener, right? And then obviously you select your desired member. So depending on the type of member you give it, this diagram will change and it will reflect, which is face, which K you're dealing with, and so on and so forth. The general settings for the studs are here. So this is kind of helping control the placement on the face a little bit. You can give it an offset from center, so that moves it left and right. You can give it a left-hand offset, which is the distance from the left work point to wherever you're placing the studs. In this case, it would push the studs higher up on the column, and it does not automatically include the material setback, so this number probably shouldn't be 0 in most cases. The offset from the face is how far off the face of the material you want the studs placed. This is good if you're placing the studs on like a JITECH plate or just on a material that kind of belongs to the column but is not the main material, right? You can also control the rows and the columns. The columns are the number of studs that are placed running along the work point line. So in the case of columns, if I'm placing 10, I'm going to place 10 going up the column, right? And then the rows run perpendicular to the stick, depending on the face. The row spacing, the column spacing, and then the angle. So the angle allows you to kind of bend the studs a little bit. And this is only applicable for the faces. It is not applicable to the Ks. The Ks will always be at 45 degrees simply because they are the Ks, right? And then additionally, just the typical stud settings, the diameter, the length, the head diameter, and the thickness, right? So to kind of show all the possible places where the studs can be placed, I'm going to place them everywhere. It is not recommended, right? I don't see that as being very practical, and additionally, it can get slow if you give it like an excessive amount of studs, since it is placing each one of these individually. So as you can see, it's placing it on the K, it's placing on the web face, the right face, right? Something to note with the K, it is not placing it directly on the K, right? You can kind of see it from there. You can only place it so close to the K, so this is something that's kind of up to your discretion. When a better version comes out, this tutorial will be made again just to kind of make that correction, but for right now, it's just not available. So we're going to control the face that it shows on, right? And we're just going to kind of show, let's do A and C, right, so that we can kind of show this. So the offset from face, if you give it a positive number, right, so if I say 2 inches, it'll go away from the center line of the material, away from the stick of the material. So if it's an A, it's going to move it this way. And if it's a C, it's going to move it this way, right? But you are allowed to give this a negative number, right? So for example, let's say you have a JITECH plate on either side of the column, and for some reason you want to place it inside of the plate, right? You can place the studs on D, give it a negative offset, and you can place the studs inside, right, away from the material, right? So if we place, let's actually show it with B and D, right? Do it. Right. So it's placed at 2 inches away from the material. If we were to measure, right, about how far away the center line of the column is, let's do this, right? approximately 6 inches, 11/16. Okay, just to kind of demonstrate what I was saying earlier, if we make it negative, right? If we make the input negative, we can flip those studs over. So offset from face, make it negative, and you'll see that D falls on the other side, as if it were the inside of the column. Okay. So this is a component, meaning it is a dependent plugin, and while it can be edited, it is limited to the information that's available inside of the column, right? So we can show the results. Please remember, plugins are there to make the user's life easier, but it is still the user's responsibility to review the results for accuracy. Hope this helps your day go smoother, and good luck.